everybody, how are you today? I'm well and I'm taking good care of my physical and mental health, and I'm hoping you're doing the same for yourself. First off, I did my hair myself. Did I hack it? Leave a comment down below. So last week we looked into the different type. We looked into the difference between mental health, mental illness, and insanity. And I remember at the end of it, I promised you that in the coming weeks we shall be looking at the disorders one by one. Although I'm not an expert, and I'll bring an expert on board to explain some of these issues. But today, I want us to look at one disorder called depression, and to be precise, smiling depression. Have you heard of that term? Stay put and learn more about smiling depression. Before we jump to smiling depression, I want us to understand what depression is, the symptoms of depression, and the types of depression, other types of depression that are there apart from smiling depression. So, depression is profound sadness that lasts for more than 2 weeks and affects the way of your functionality. It affects your activities. So if you're experiencing this, sister, bro, you are definitely depressed and you need medical attention. Yeah, so here are the symptoms of depression. I noted them down, and forgive me, I'm going to read. I told you I'm not an expert in these issues. So symptoms may include deep feelings of sadness, dark moods, feeling of worthlessness or hopelessness, appetite changes, sleep changes, lack of energy, inability to concentrate, difficulty getting through your normal activities, lack of interest in things you used to enjoy, withdrawal from friends, preoccupation with death, or thoughts of self-harm. We have to, however, realize that depression affects people differently. Some may experience the symptoms I've mentioned there, just some of them, and some may experience very different symptoms that I have not mentioned, and some may have some of these symptoms and not have depression. But if you're having these symptoms and they are recurring, you are probably sinking into depression or you're depressed and you need to seek medical advice. So, how many types of depression are there? I have mentioned to you smiling depression, and here are the others. We have major depression, or rather, major depressive disorder, persistent depression, manic depression or bipolar disorder, depressive psychosis, perinatal depression, premenstrual dysphonic disorder, the medical terms, seasonal depression, situational depression, and atypical depression. That is to add to smiling depression. Yeah, so I will give more details about the types of depression that I have mentioned in the coming weeks, because I know we cannot exhaust all of them in one sitting. For each depressive disorder, for each type of depression, I know we need like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. So that means every type of disorder on its own day, like a day be allocated to a type of disorder, so that you can exhaust it in a manner that people will be able to understand. So, on to smiling depression. Let me read for you something here that I got from an article a while ago. It says, what does the depression look like? If you picture a depressed person as someone who can't stop crying, who is exhausted, who doesn't want to socialize, or who has stopped taking care of their health or appearance, you may be right. However, depression can also look like an A student, a social butterfly, or a consummate professional. The most pulled together, on top of everything, energetic, rigorous person you know could be suffering from depression. It is possible that someone could be depressed without showing. Is it possible that someone could be depressed without showing any symptoms? This is what we call smiling depression. Sorry. So, smiling depression involves masking your pain. You're sad. You have those uh, suicidal thoughts, but you're masking them with a smile. You are afraid of speaking out what you're going through. You are afraid to bother people or to burden people with your issues. Am I speaking to somebody? I know there are so many people out there who are like this. Like for me, the first time I had this smiling depression term, I had mentioned to somebody that I was some time back, I was in this very toxic environment where people used to torture me, to torment me mentally, and the most I could do was cry. And then after crying, I let go that issue and start smiling at these people again, laughing with them. But I thought like through crying, I was letting go. Yes, crying is therapy. And yes, I let go some issues, but since they were not addressed, they kept piling. They kept piling. They kept piling. And it got to a point where I could really struggle to wake up in the morning to go to this place of work. I could really struggle, but initially I was this person who really enjoyed my work here. I'm this proactive person, and I know I take up challenges. I take up new roles just so that I can learn. And I'm a quick learner, and it takes me very short time to learn things. And thanks to that, I've been able to gain so many skills. So it got to a point, the best I could do was cry. I could not even come out to defend myself when I was being accused. And before I went here, I was this person who had a voice, somebody who was in charge of their life, somebody who could not allow anybody to pull them down, somebody who could tell a boss off, whether you are a CEO or whoever you are, I could tell you off. But here, I was suppressed emotionally, and it really affected me. And I could just mask it with a smile. I could smile at these people, and we never addressed those issues. And then later, the abuse was so bad. And I remember even after leaving, I could cry so many times. I could go to church, and during that worship period, I could just let out myself out and cry and cry. The best I could do was cry, because now masking that pain, masking that sadness build up and grew into something else. If I could not have left this place, maybe I could have sunk deeper into depression, and I would have needed the services of a psychotherapist, or I would have needed to visit a mental health facility. But thank God I left, and immediately I left, I went into a very beautiful program that really introduced me to myself. Yeah, that is pretty much about myself and smiling depression, unbeknownst. So, why do people hide their depression behind a smile? They worry that others will, they worry about what others will think. They do not want to burden others. They fear job loss. Eh, eh, eh. Yani people watu wanakuwa tormented huku nje in the workplace. Oh my goodness. But you cannot speak about it because you fear you'll be fired. And the torment goes on and on and on. And before you know it, you sunk into depression. Tuache kufanya hivyo, by the way. Tuache. Let's learn our value. Let's realize our value and live when a place is becoming unconducive for you. Because your mental health needs you. You are your mental health. You can be in charge of your mental health. So many things that happen to us we allow. Like this instance of somebody not being able to speak up because they will lose a job. That is something we bring on ourselves. We fear the unknown. We fear that if we speak up, we shall be fired. Who said? Maybe your boss is waiting for you to speak up. Speak up. Speak up. And free yourself from imprisonment of self. Another thing is they think the depression will go if they pretend to be happy. Wow. They might not realize they are depressed. Very possible. It's not easy to know you're depressed unless maybe someone close to you understands the symptoms of depression and will notify you and say you need to be checked, you're not okay. Another one is they do not know how to get help. That is the problem, If you don't speak up, people will not know that you need help. If you don't tell people what is ailing you, you won't get help. Let's get used to speaking up when we are in need. Like right now in this pandemic period where so many people are suffering, so many are in need. If you don't speak up, your neighbor might not know you need their help. And there is no shame in this pandemic. There's a friend of mine who told me recently, there is no shame in this pandemic. There's this guy who was part of a very popular competition, singing competition, and one evening he got back home and he found a padlock on his door. He slept in the watchman's room on boxes. The following day he woke up and realized, wow, this is getting serious. He went on social media and told fans, Manze, things are not the way you think they are. Things are bad. I'm not even able to afford my rent. Kenyans Nani, they came together and contributed 2 million for this guy. This guy went back and appreciated the watchman who accommodated him that night when he didn't have a place to sleep, and did something for himself. That only happened because he spoke up. And you never know who is ready to help you. You never know who is listening. We only get help when we speak up. If you don't speak up, you'll just be where you are and you will suffer more and you will sink deeper into depression. And I will repeat again, treating mental health disorders in this country in a good facility is not cheap. It's expensive. So don't allow yourself to get that point where you have to be treated in a mental health facility. Take charge of your mental health, and the moment you start noticing the symptoms I have mentioned, seek medical advice. Seek medical advice earlier in time, because all those depression, all of them have medication. Although for smiling depression, it might be difficult to detect it, but once it's detected, it's treatable, it's treated. So the cure lies in speaking up. If you speak up, you'll get help. So here are some of the statements people with smiling depression use. I don't want to upset anybody else. You think by you speaking up, you'll upset people. You think by you saying that you're in this situation where you're not able to understand yourself anymore, you are sad and you're feeling suicidal. You think that You'll upset people. No, speak up. I want to feel as happy as I look. Well, it's detrimental at the end of it. So seek help. Seek help. Don't die silently. You know, smiling depression can lead to suicide. People, we have had cases of people who are very jovial in life, who are very jovial. People will tell, no, msa alikuanga tu amechangamka, msa alikuanga very jovial. They were masking their pain. They were masking their immense sadness. They were masking their immense sorrow. So, speak up. I don't know if my smiling depression is real. Yeah, there are those feelings. You don't know whether you are depressed or not. You don't know whether it's just your nature to smile and mask pain. Some of these things, unless somebody tells you, you won't realize. Like for me, if I had been told by that lady who told me, there's a name to what you are doing. There's a name to masking that pain with a smile. It's called smiling depression. I would have never known anything like smiling depression existed. I want to tell people how I feel, but I can't. It's normal. It's normal feeling like that. It's normal wanting to speak up, but you shut yourself up with self-judgment. You start judging. They will be upset. They won't understand, So it's normal. And what I would say is, if around you we have people who understand your situation, let them reach out to you and help you, because some of these depressed cases, people who are depressed might not know that they are depressed, unless you who is around them, who has knowledge of this depression, of these types of depressions, unless you go to them and tell them, we hauko sawa, they might not realize. They might just think that it's just for a short period and it will go away, and then it graduates into months, and then years, and then eventually someone ends into a mental health facility and stays there for some time and spends lots and lots of money. Money is not an issue. Money can always be gotten, but don't put your mental health in jeopardy. Always be in charge of your life. Be in charge. The way you are in charge of your career, the way you are in charge of your education, the way you are in charge of your business, be in charge of your mental health. And I say that, though it's quite fortunate that the things that apply to physical health also apply to mental health. So do those things that will make you will make you be in a good state of mental health. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have learned something, and if you want more clarity, kindly comment down below so that I can respond to your concerns in my next video. Thank you so much. See you. Bye. Mwah.